Well, good morning. If you want to see how we built this 4 by 6 foot landing platform for our garden bridge, stay tuned because that's what we're going to do today. Well, good morning and welcome to Memphis Monday 300. I don't know how it could be possible, but we have 300 straight weeks of Memphis Mondays. Trying to do complete projects every week. I'm pretty proud of that. But anyway, I couldn't think of anything really special to do for today. So just got a regular project, but it goes back to one of our larger projects we did this year. One of the decks we built. So we're going to build a deck landing platform. We built a deck, and then we built a garden bridge, and now we're going to build a little landing out in front of the garden bridge. So let's knock off the chit chat and check this project out. Here's the deck we built last summer. I didn't film a lot of it because it was so hot and ugly that I didn't have enough energy. And after we built the deck, we built this garden bridge. Turned out real nice. And the plan was to have the landing for this garden bridge to be these paving stones. But now my buddy wants, instead of having these paving stones, he wants to continue the deck portion of the garden bridge out and make a little wooden landing here. Let's go see how we can make that happen. This is the little plan I've come up with. These are the existing deck boards on the garden bridge. And those deck boards are 49.5 inches long. And those will be continued out to the end of the landing. The boards will flow out this way. Only this will be level. It's going to have 2 by 4 joints, just barely off the ground, and with nogging between them. And this end, these joists will be connected to the existing frame here. And at the far end, these will be the footings. We'll put in place 4 by 4 footings, be set in concrete, and we can adjust the joists until they're level, and then we'll put our decking boards across. I want to kill 2 stones with 1 bird, so I've already gone through and treated and stained our deck boards. These are our joists right here. The deck looks like it's been treated with some kind of like Thompson's water seal or something, but actually it's been treated with this Cabot. It's called Australian timber oil, and it's specifically made for decks and siding and rails, etc. And instead of being water soluble, it is actually appears to be a urethane or a urethane and stain mix. So this is actually a stain and urethane mix. It's not polyurethane because it's got to be urethane and polyurethane are 2 different things. Urethane is what they make, things that are UV safe. Some folks say I need to show more of my screw-ups. I built this garden bridge here. Does that look level to you? Sure doesn't look level to me. And that's not a problem here on the garden bridge, but it will be when I try to match up this flat platform with this deck, because it's got to be level and the starting point isn't level. So I'm going to have to fight that fight in a few minutes. My buddy who's is helping me take these stones up, but I want to come over and film it, make it look like I was doing it, because he'll think I'm putting it on video just to show myself taking these up. But you and I know that's not true. Now, I'm on the side of the room that likes to use ring shack nails to put these decks together. But the drawback with ring shank nails is you can't just back them out like you can screws. I'm only going to put these little foundation 4x4s. I'm only going to put them in the ground about a foot. And we don't have any frost heave around here. And this is a really pretty easy job because ground around here is real sandy. So digging's real easy. So easy. It's like digging in a beach. Now what I'm doing here is putting a frame together. I want to get this frame squared up and level so I can make sure I know exactly where to dig my footing holes. Okay, I got that frame in, and what I've done is those posts are just stuck in the ground about 18 inches, and there's a gap underneath the post. And what I'll do is one at a time go down through there and level and square the deck as I put the concrete in. Here's another picture of it. You can see those holes are nice and big, and there's about a 6-inch gap underneath each post. So I'll be able to work the saccrete underneath it. Now that problem we talked about earlier, remember I showed you that this deck was high up here and it sloped down. How I solved the problem, the long ways is level, but then the deck itself slopes down about probably 1/4 of an inch this way. Well, I got the concrete in those holes, but the wind was blowing and I didn't film it. While the concrete is drying, setting up a little bit, these are going to be my deck planking boards. These are 5/4, and I pre-stained them with that stuff I showed you before. Now I don't know why I'm so nervous about this, but I got to make sure that all these boards are the same length and the correct length, and I want them to be. This is one of the original boards that we took off, and I want them to be all this length. And I know this is 49.5 inches, but I'm not taking any chances. So I have my stop block set up right off this board. Now here's a question for you. Why is 49.5 inches a bad measurement? Why don't you stop the video and try to figure out why that's an unwise measurement. It's an unwise measurement because it's more than 45 inches, or more than 48 inches. You know, you don't want to exceed 48 inches because your stock is always going to come in 4 feet. I mean, it's always going to come in 8 feet lengths. So I'm going to have more waste on this board than I would otherwise like. Okay, that's one board. Now what I did is I made that deck long enough to fit 14 boards side by side. So let's see if that works out for us. Here's what I mean about that waste. Since my planking board is 49.5 inches, I couldn't buy an 8-foot board because that's 96 inches, and you know, there's not enough, it's not long enough to get 2 boards out of it. So I had to buy 10-foot boards. So now, on all my boards, I have this piece of waste. I'll try to recycle it into something, but still waste. Okay, we got the deck boards all loaded up in the truck. Our next job is put the nogging in, and I'll show you how to do that right about now. A nogging is those beams that run crossways here between the joists. It kind of holds everything together. But its main purpose is to keep the joists plumb so they don't twist. And when you're cutting this nogging, you got to be really careful on the measurements because it's got to fit right down between the joists. Now, if I'm living right, this should fit exactly between these 2 joists, and with a little tapping action, now it wouldn't be very professional, but fact is, if the nogging's not exactly square or plumb, nobody's going to see it, but you'll know and it'll bother you. I got all the nogging in. Now see, with that nogging in there, all these joists are connected together, and they won't flex side to side because they're all connected. So now the whole deck frame is, you know, rigid. Our frame here is 71.5 inches, and if you divide 5.5 into 71.5, you get 13 exactly. So it's going to take 13 boards to cover this if we're living right. If we're not living right, what'll happen is we'll have a gap at the other end, and that would be bad. I'm using 2 3/8 inch ring shank nails. That's what I always use. I think the best thing to use is screws, but these work too. So what I'm doing now is I put this 2x4 cleat right in here so that I could line my boards up so they'd be perfectly aligned. And now I'm going to take that cleat off before I forget. I just put it on with a couple short nails. Now I got some good news and the bad news. Bad news is my board count was wrong. I don't know how it could be, but this is a 3.5 inch. This last little section here is 3.5 inches, and it's supposed to be, according to the theory of mathematics, it's supposed to be a 5.5 inch gap. That's the reason I was making such a big deal about it, because I didn't want to cut a piece here. That's bad news. The good news is my deck is square, and you can tell that by looking across here. If the deck wasn't square, this space here would be different than this space down here. Okay, I'm going to take that board back to the shop, cut it to width, and we'll be on. It'll be a drum roll time. Well, here's our little bridge landing for Memphis Monday 300. A nice simple design, came out square. Kind of a small project, but it also, we could show a lot. We pre-treated the wood. We set it on 4 posts that go in the ground 18 inches with concrete. Used 3 bags actually of 3 bags of Quikrete. Overall, I'm pretty satisfied. Well, this is a milestone. We're finishing our 300th in a row Memphis Mondays. 300 straight weeks of exciting adventures. Today we finished I called it a deck landing platform, but actually it was a landing for that little garden bridge we built last summer. But anyway, it's kind of a small project, but it turned out fine. We got to see a lot of the techniques, and you know, it takes to deck something like in like that. I've never concentrated on nogging much, and we did a lot of that today. Okay, like, favorite, share, all the stuff you do on the internet. Most important, make sure you're back here next week for another exciting Memphis Monday. Thanks for playing along.